All right. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Beyond the Frame. My name is Jay Nephew, and I'll be your host today. With me, I have a very special guest, a friend of mine for many years, Mr. Frank Wilkinson, owner of Rabs Country Lane. How are you, Frank?
I, I'm doing all right. We're doing the best that we certainly can, right? We're hanging in
Absolutely.
there.
This is a time to make lemonade out of whatever you got. You might not even have lemons, but you're going to still make lemonade, right?
Yes. Yeah, no, I got rid of, sadly, all the produce. That's the one thing that I had forgotten about when we emptied the walk-in box and the beer, and there were lemons, limes, and oranges. So I went in there last week when we were getting rid of some more product that was getting picked up. It smelled good. It didn't smell rotten, but when I opened up that box, oof.
Oh, yeah, for sure,
No,
for sure.
no lemons here.
No lemons there. Well, I do want to mention, you've held some really amazing positions for your young career so far. First of all, you're the owner and operator at Rabs. You've also been a director on the BPAA board of directors, and you're the past USBC president. So kudos to you. You also serve on the National Council of Youth Sports as a board member. Those are some important roles. How have they shaped your business mind?
Jay, that's a really good question. So one, we do what we do because we can and we care. That's the most important. And I've had the opportunity to be able to do those things. One, because of my amazing family and the amazing team that we have here at Rabs.
You do have a wonderful team. I have to tell you that because they support you with that. Your production of that show is unbelievable. I just have to say that. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, it's cool. We appreciate that. I do. We've got a great team here that has allowed me to go pursue some of the things that, hey, you can't complain and you can't have something to say if you're not going to be a part of the solution, right? And you know
Right.
that well and you served on the USBC board of directors at the same time we had served. And I mean, I've learned so much about myself, let alone my business, through all of that time. And I have to say, if not that you learn differently, you learn different things. And having been involved on the volunteer side as a kid, to work your way up and do something that I would have never thought would have happened. Everybody kept saying, "Oh, you're going to be the president of USBC one day." I just laughed in their face. I'm like, "Yeah, fine. I don't really care about it." Not that I don't care. I didn't care to go do that. I loved
Right.
what I've done. It was more about, it wasn't on the top of mind. But yeah, it really, I think there's a misconception. It's a nonprofit and a membership organization, governance, and at the end of the day, it's a business. It's a huge business, and
It
so
is.
my business doesn't compare to a nonprofit. And being involved in nonprofits, you learn a lot. But once you're doing that job, or even serving in a board seat, you learn so much more about yourself. And then the beauty of all of it are meeting the people that we get to meet doing it. And I think I've learned so much from my colleagues, fellow bowling proprietors, people in our industry, that I've been able to take back to our business, and not just business, life. Uh,
Life, yeah.
I have to say, I really am indebted to the work, being able to have the opportunity to serve, because I've been able to take that back. And it's so hard to explain when people say, "Oh, how did you learn that? Where did you get that? How did you have that understanding?" And I've had some great mentors through all of that. And it's funny when somebody calls me and asks for my opinion. I was the one doing that before, and I still do, because you're not the smartest person in the room. But you learned from the Kathy DeSocios of the world, who you befriend, and the Frank DeSocios and the Chad Murphys, and your friends, and you lean on them, because you need that advice. You need to work together to get somewhere, and it wouldn't be without certainly forging those relationships. And even go back, somebody like Jeff Boget, who had this vision of getting young proprietors involved in BPAA.
Hmm.
He really pushed the limit, and we still have this core group of young proprietors that work together on a daily basis. And I have to say thank you to Jeff for, one, creating those relationships and creating that platform. It's something that certainly is very true today. And there is another generation of young proprietors that are coming up.
That are coming
It's
up,
great to
right?
see that.
Yeah, it's funny that you said that, you're not the smartest one in the room. I think Taylor Swift said, if you're the smartest one in the room, you're in the wrong room. So I've always
Yes.
kind of thought about that. And I said, yeah, that's true. That's very true. Well, I want to say hello to a few people. Chrissy V, Miss Kent, Chrissy Kent's joined us, and Jim Grant's on, along with Chris Keller and David J. Hi.
Fellow
What
New
I
Yorkers,
wanted,
fellow New Yorkers in the house.
Fellow New Yorkers, absolutely. Sort of a fellow New Yorker over here, but we'll take Texas for now. So, you bring us to a good point here. I want to break off for a minute because I want to ask you what's been going on, but, I know you've been doing a lot of stuff. Mainly, you're like the social media king now, in my opinion, because you were one of the very first people to broadcast live and daily from your center. And you've been doing it. I see now the counter is 57 days in a row, right?
All right, so this is the quarantine countdown. So this is
quarantine
day 57. Today we just did episode 51.
So you only missed 6 whole days in that time frame.
Yeah, we missed, yes, and we took 2 days off, Easter and Mother's Day, but we've been doing it every day.
Shame on you. Shame on you. That's phenomenal. So let's talk about this social media, because I'm sure you were present on social media before, but were you as engaged with your audience before this, or has this taught you to be more engaged?
A little bit of both. I think we all could do a better job at engaging with our customer base, right? So social media is not just about pushing out what you're doing.
No.
And I think that's some of the misconception, right? Hey, I have a special, I have an event, I'm just going to push it. And that's not what it's meant for. To your point, it's meant for conversation, learning more. And so, yeah, we did an okay job. And I could even say good at best. And we could always all be better. This here was an idea that we've had. It was sitting on the board in the office. Hey, we're going to go do this at some point. Wasn't going to be daily, a weekly, every couple of week type thing. And turned into, hey, here's the best time to now talk with your customers. Their home, outreach to your community. And that's really what it was built on, this live from Rabs thing, doing it every day. And we laugh that we're doing it every day until further notice. I didn't think we'd still be doing it 51 episodes later.
Right.
In reality, yes. But I don't think reality, we didn't understand what the new norm or what reality would be 50 something days later.
Right.
We're still closed and that we're still doing it. So we wanted to do it. It was a medium to go and tell some stories. And that's what this is going to turn into next. This will be interviewing customers and telling stories from inside the bowling center that we really can't do in this form. But so today we're giving the opportunity to talk to community leaders. Yesterday we had former Met Nelson Figueroa on our show. I mean, how cool is that to have an opportunity to reach your customer base and community and then give them the opportunity to come out and ask questions of someone that they wouldn't be able to communicate with on a regular basis. Jason Belmonte was one of our first guests in the beginning, and it's been fun.
It's been fun watching you do it too, I gotta say.
I appreciate that.
What is some of the feedback that you've gotten from your customer base about your broadcasts?
And you were one of our first guests.
My bowl at home challenge, yes.
Yeah. The response has been really good. Better than I really expected, because I didn't know. The first day we did it, the first week we knew we had bad lighting, we had bad sounds, we had no clue what we were doing. And they were just excited to be able to hear us. And we were more excited to have the ability to still communicate with our folks. And they've all been really supportive and appreciative. During the show, we get text messages and even after with suggestions and ideas. And we take them and we move with them. And it's been exciting to know that they're embracing it and doing the best with what they've got while they're home. So yeah,
for sure.
It's been greatly received.
And you're giving them hope too. You're giving them back the, look, we're in the same boat as you. We support you. Thank you for supporting us. We're going to get together again real soon. And let's talk about that. You're in New York. You're in New York City almost. You're Staten Island. You're very close.
We are New York City. We are New York City. Fix that.
You are New York City. Yeah. See, this is how much I know being from New York. I'm terrible about anything below Albany. It's just a blur to me down there. What is it like when I'm assuming you're preparing to reopen, but your state has not given you any kind of guidelines as a time frame yet. Is that correct?
Well, they have, but they're all over the place. So
that's what.
To that point, the executive order on pause ends May 15th, and then last Thursday the governor signed an order. It basically extended it, matching Governor Murphy's extension in New Jersey. However, it wasn't a true extension.
Okay.
It's regional. So what what's really mud is that it's regionally based. And it makes sense. We're the most populated, right? So
Right.
you have Western New York and Southern New York, right? The most densely populated regions in the state, probably the last to open, especially for us. So now I believe there are 10 points. If you have to meet 10 pieces of criteria in order for the county to be considered open. So I
Okay.
think that's where the second date comes in. So initially, phase one would have started May 15th. We here in New York City aren't going to see a May 15th phase one opening. I mean, unless there's some miracle that happens in the next 2 days. While we've had a slowdown in cases, we don't meet all the criteria that they're asking for.
For sure. Okay.
It looks more like that June 7th date for phase one, which if that's the case, we were planning potentially, if all went well, phase four, which we've been identified in, would have been the July 1st, about July 1st.
Wow.
Now it looks more like the end of July.
Wow.
So it's still an unknown, and
but that's still a month and a half away. So we don't know what's going to happen in that time. And hopefully, like you said, we get a little bit of miracle action and those numbers come way down and they allow you to get to normalcy quicker.
Whatever normal looks like, right? We don't know.
Well, that's why I say the new normal. So let's talk about that too. What kind of, have you thought about what the surface of your business looks like, or the core of your business? How does that look in a new environment to you? Yeah. It's probably much like how you thought the show would run. Like, we had bad lighting the first day, but then we fixed that and we learned. So like, I assume it's going to be the same for everybody, to be honest with you. We think we know what we're going to do and we have a plan, but maybe 3 days in, we find that XYZ doesn't work and we've got to go to plan C, or, we find that this works better. So, I mean, that's how I envision the world opening back up, especially the bowling industry, because your location is so different than, Montana, where there's very few cases, and some places have not even fully closed down. I've found out there's some centers in Nebraska that have been open the whole time.
Yeah. And it's funny talking with proprietors around the country. It looks so different. Jeannie in Omaha was Nebraska. She's telling me
Jeannie.
Yeah, they could have all these people inside their bar, but they can't have them in the 30,000 square feet of the bowling center. Like, the city of Omaha kind of went a little nuts and created other requirements for them to open. And that was in the beginning. I don't know what it looks like today. And it's going to continue to change. For
sure.
us, I think for us here in New York City, I think we have a little bit of a leg up. If we are going to be of the last to really be open, we're going to see how our fellow colleagues in bowling centers around the country, how they're embracing the change, what they're doing, what they're learning. And maybe we'll learn from their mistakes. We'll have an opportunity to see what's happening or get the ideas. I have to say, BPAA has done a great job at keeping communication and building some tools. Cubica has done the same thing that's shared with their customers. Brunswick has also done the same thing with their customers. And I think if you take all of these ideas and you form them into what you believe can be what's best suited for you, then you make it happen. In some of these cases, I think maybe some have jumped the ship. I think we're doing like too much.
Right.
I don't believe in creating panic, and I don't believe in creating an environment of doubt. And I think that's my largest concern. I don't want my customers to come in and have doubt that we never cleaned and we never did some of these things. And here we are today with plexiglass shields and shields between bowling lanes and sanitizers everywhere. And I think there becomes a point for the consumer to see too much. At the same time, it's important that our customers feel safe in our environment moving forward, right?
Right. So, there's that balance of they come there to forget about certain things. They're there as a release, as an escape, so to speak, of they're coming to enjoy themselves. And you do want them to know that, look, my facility's safe. We're following these guidelines of cleaning and sanitizing properly, but we don't want to throw it in your face and make you worry about it. So I personally agree with you. And I think that you said a very interesting point that is being echoed so loud across the country. No solution fits everybody because of your layout, your location, your customer base, whatever. There's so many variables that I think most people are going to have to look at all the options they have available, take these tools that the BPAA and we've created in other groups, right? IAPA, et cetera, and let's say, let me look at all these things that they've given me, which works for me, what combination works best for me and my business, and then run with it. So
Yeah,
I believe that's the way.
the same goes with on the financial side with all the loan opportunities. We treated them equally across the country, no different than the stimulus check. If you're saying I'll send a stimulus check to everybody above that you up to $100,000 in salary, $100,000 salary here in New York City is not the same as somebody even making 75,000 in the middle of Ohio somewhere.
No, not
And
at
it's
all.
not a knock. It's true.
It is what it is.
Many of our city workers make $100,000 and can't even support their families. So
Right.
it really is challenging that we treat it all the same, and we can't. So, and that's why we're looking at it. I mean, I've got some great tools and having some great conversations about what the opening could look like, and that's what we're evaluating. So we have a little bit more time to do it. We have all this outlay because every time a new idea or a government regulation comes up, all I see that it's going to cost us more money. Right?
Right.
And it's costing us more money, and money we don't have. Just for example, on food service, US Food and Cisco have done another good job of sending out information. This 50-page piece from I think it's US Foods, specifically talks about not buying bulk cutlery, buying prepackaged
Individually
cutlery.
pre-wrapped.
Everything
Yeah.
is individually wrapped. Well, there goes the cost just goes way up.
Condiments, crazy.
You have to take that in consideration. Is this the new norm? Is this really how we're going to operate? And how long are we truly going to operate in this fashion? That
Right.
the public doesn't have an outcry that this is ridiculous. And don't get me wrong, public safety is I believe is most important. And again, I want people to feel safe. But where do we draw at one point, where do we draw the lines?
It is definitely a balancing act for sure, for sure. You also made a really good point. I mean, no one wants to be the last person that gets to open, right? I mean, it's unfair, it seems. However, let's look at the positive side of that. By the time you get to open, most of the country will have been open for a period of time, and you will be able to learn from them. So you're going to get some valuable feedback and insight that the first people who opened didn't have the benefit of, and maybe even the second or third people that opened didn't have the benefit of. So that's better for you. I think that when you guys do finally get up and running, you're going to get there quicker and faster because you're going to see all the mistakes people have made or all the good things people have done, and you're going to grab from there and go, let's do it.
Yeah, and we're going to make plenty of mistakes too.
Well, of course.
We don't know how the consumer is really going to react, right? I'm not going to cater to the 1% that's not coming out. And I think that's the other misnomer. We can take all of these precautionary measures, but there are people that are not leaving their house, and I'm not going to.
And they have the right to, and they should,
right.
If that's their goal, they need to stick to their guns. But that doesn't mean it has to impact and persuade the 99% that are comfortable doing whatever.
Right. You want to stay home? Go ahead, go stay it. But I'm not going to your point, I'm not going to tailor what I'm doing to get you out of the house, because no matter what I do, you're not coming out.
Right. And maybe you shouldn't. Maybe right. You're immunocompromised or elderly or whatever.
We could go back to Bubble Boy. Maybe we should all be in bubbles at some point.
I think we would be in a much worse situation if we were.
Yeah. Hey, and so I don't know if you caught the comment. John Lacido says that in Nebraska, it's still that way. So talking about not being able to have people congregate in the bowling center, but you can have people congregate in a bar, but you have to serve food. So it's a restaurant.
Ah, so it's a little bit of a loophole, so to speak, right?
Yeah, crazy loophole. Which
Kathy Licky Gomez.
Think about this. I have a regular restaurant that I go to on a regular basis once a week. I leave here early or whatever it might be, and I can go sit at a bar and have a meal with people I know. It's a neighborhood spot. I know when restaurants open in phase 3, you can't have bars. You can't have people at your bar. But you know what the restaurant's probably going to do? Is going to have a table in the corner with those same 8 seats, and the people could sit there instead of sitting at a bar. So right. We have to take in consideration what environment we're going to be creating with these new measures, right? So are we just moving people just for the sake of moving people?
It's to satisfy some unknown rule just because.
Yeah, and then we're going to find the ways to skirt it. Again, public safety is certainly important, but why create the opportunity for the loopholes and create opportunity for me to just go figure out how I'm going to do it to make the revenue? I think that's important too. That's within all of this. I think that our government agencies are missing the boat, not understanding what's actually going to happen out there. And I get it. I don't fault them for making some of the decisions they've made in a crisis. I think it's now time to certainly revisit and understand what it really will look like moving forward.
For sure, for sure.
And no different than the loans. The loans, we have to revisit the loans. It doesn't make sense in its current form for everyone. And it looks like they're starting to do that. So
yeah. Well, that's at least a positive on our side. I have another question. Chris Keller wants to know if you've made any changes yet while you've been closed down. Have you done any major kind of wow factors for your customers?
You know, I mean, for us, it's going to be little things, a lot of maintenance. So as you see in the background, Jimmy and Michael are doing some maintenance projects that they just wouldn't have gotten to on a regular basis. So their focus there. There's no money in the till to spend too much money and do some projects. So it's going to be a lot of facelift stuff, minimal by the time we open. It also here in New York City is a little difficult to do some work. I can't get a permit.
Oh, that's right.
And in some cases, we were working on a full arcade project going into this, and that's halted. One for the right reasons. At the same time, I hate to even say this in public forum, but I almost would say, hey, I want to go do the work and then pay the fines later, right? It just doesn't. Sadly, what we need to do here for that project is not going to work. Now, if I wanted to go do some bathroom work and go do this and without getting a permit, I think I'd get excused. Nobody would ever know.
Right.
And we have to just be careful. But yeah, because our overhead is so high, I have to be very careful with what we're spending. Especially, we got our PPP loan, which is, for me, I'm treating it as a cheap loan, but we haven't received the SBA loan yet. So until I receive an SBA loan to pay off some of the bills that we need to pay off, I can't say, hey, I'm going to go do this and run and spend some money. We have things that need to be done. And so this building we don't own, we lease. And in the last,
there's some limitations there.
Yeah. And we have a triple net lease. We can really do whatever we want. At the same time, I'm dumping money into a building we don't own. In the last 10 years, we've spent so much money on infrastructure that I haven't been able to truly invest back in completely where we want to. New masking, the simple things like masking units, the simple things of reworking furniture, your arcade. We did this huge renovation flooring project, which was costly, but I haven't been able to do other things because of this old building. We had to put in a smoke purge system, a fire alarm, all these things we would have never thought we had to spend money on, and poof. Oh, by the way, 3 air conditions, had to be replaced within a couple of years, right? So we are batting 1,000. Jimmy reminds me we're batting 1,000.
We're not going to ask you about any more upgrades or remodels. We don't want anything else to happen.
Hey, we've got some great plans in place that we want to do, and we wholeheartedly believe in reinvesting in this business. It's something that part of my father's legacy, our core values, and it's what we've done. We're on to our third scoring system here in this building. It's time for an upgrade there. It's time for this, but you have to piece it all in the right, and make the right decisions in the right place to get you to that point.
To get you to the end, for sure.
So right now it's like kind of playing catch up and trying to get ahead.
Yeah, that's a good assessment right there.
This is not helping.
No, this is not. But pretty soon, my friend, you're going to be cooking with gas, as they say, right?
Yeah.
Okay, well, listen, I want to thank you so much for being our guest today. I want to tell everybody out there, thanks for joining us. Tomorrow, we have a webinar with Frank DeSocio, speaking of BPAA and what they're doing. Natasha Kipper and Brian Kane are going to meet with Frank, and they're going to discuss the BPAA's plan on how they're helping centers prepare for reopening. And as the marketing arm of BPAA, Strike 10 Entertainment is also developing special programs that are going to drive more bowlers into their member centers and build top-of-mind awareness for the bowling community. So, and then following that on Thursday, I'm going to have Randy Thompson, who's the current BPAA president, on, and he's the owner of Great Escape Iowa. So we'll have another point of view from an FEC, but still kind of traditional owner-operator. And of course, we all know Randy is just, his knowledge and his passion is right there, is unrivaled, right? So Don't forget that's easy for me to say.
Try that
Don't
again.
forget, right? Don't forget about our Cubica AMF resources page. We've got links to agencies, member organizations, our Beyond the Frame content, as well as past webinars and a whole section on maintaining your center. So on behalf of Frank Wilkinson and Rabs, I want to say all country lanes, like it's every country, Rabs Country Lanes. I'm at Rabs International Country Lanes. I just renamed you. And Cubic AMF and myself, we thank you for joining us today on Beyond the Frame. Remember to keep yourself in the right frame of mind. Until we meet on Thursday, I will see you soon. Frank, thanks again so much.
Thanks, Jay. We'll see you soon. Thanks for all that you do.
You're very welcome, my friend. Have a great day, everyone.